Hello, welcome to EPG Pashala Spanish. My name is Nabil Ansari and I teach Spanish in the Center of Spanish, Portuguese, Italian and Latin American Studies in Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. We are in the paper entitled Spanish Grammar 1. In this module entitled Tiene que ser así, you are going to learn about verbal periphrases with verbs in infinitive form and gerund form. A periphrasis is a verbal form composed of two verbs, an auxiliary verb and another in an impersonal form. Impersonal form meaning the second verb can be in infinitive form, meaning the verb is not conjugated. The gerund form meaning the verb can end in ando, yendo and in the participle form. So, the auxiliary verb used with another in an impersonal form. Now, the auxiliary verb loses some of its original meaning and acquires a particular meaning on being associated with one of these impersonal forms. So, sometimes the auxiliary verb or the first verb will lose its meaning when it is used with the impersonal form of the verbs, be it in infinitive or gerund or the participle form. So, in this module, we are just going to cover the verbal periphrases with infinitive form and gerund form. Some of the verbal periphrases of obligations which you have already learned in the previous modules are tener que plus infinitive meaning to have to do something, deber plus infinitive meaning must or should something, and haber que or ik plus infinitive. Ik is the form of the verb haber que. Ik plus infinitive also means it is necessary to do something or one must do something. Now, let us revise them quickly. Tener que plus infinitive meaning to have to do something. Now, we use this structure when we want to express an obligation or necessity that one must carry out or do. For example, tienen que estudiar para el examen meaning they have to study for the exam. Tienes que ir al mercado meaning you have to go to the market. Or tenemos que comprar un regalo para nuestro amigo meaning we have to buy a gift for our friend. As you can see in these examples, the verb tener que is used with another verb in infinitive form, and the three examples shows that the tener que is used with the verb estudiar, like tienen que estudiar, with the verb ir, for example tienes que ir, and with the verb comprar, for example tenemos que comprar. Deber plus infinitive, it means should or must something. We feel the obligation, but it's not unavoidable, it's not a compulsion, so we use this construction deber plus infinitive. We also use deber to give advice to someone. For example, debo levantarme temprano meaning I should get up early. Debes estudiar más meaning you should study more. Debemos fumar menos meaning we should smoke less. Now, pay attention that with deber we do not use any other link before the second verb, like in the first verbal periphrasis that we just revised or that we just learned was tener plus que plus infinitive. So, after the verb tener was the link que, but with deber there is nothing. So, after the verb deber the second verb will come directly and it will be in infinitive form. For example, as we have seen in these examples, debo levantarme, or debes estudiar, or debemos fumar. So with this, the second verb comes directly after the verb deber. The third verbal periphrasis is ik plus infinitive. We express an impersonal and generalized obligation with ik plus infinitive. It states the idea of what one must do or what is necessary to do. For example, hay que estudiar para aprobar el examen, which means it is necessary to study in order to pass the exam, or it can also mean one must study in order to pass the exam. Another example, hay que hablar con cuidado, meaning one must speak with care. So as you can see, it is an impersonal and generalized obligation, meaning it is not directed to one person, but it is directed to persons in general. So these three verbal periphrases is used for obligations, or it is used for expressing a necessity that one must carry out or do, and these are tener que plus infinitive, deber plus infinitive, and ik plus infinitive. Now these are not the only verbal periphrases, there are other verbal periphrases with infinitive, so we are going to learn some more. In order to express possibility and probability, we use the verb poder and deber de with another verb in infinitive. So let's start with the verb poder with another verb in infinitive form. So poder is conjugated as, in present tense it is conjugated as yo puedo, tú puedes, él, ella, usted puede, nosotros, nosotras podemos, vosotros, vosotras podéis, ellos, ellas, ustedes pueden. For example, now how to use this poder with another verb in infinitive? Puede llover mañana, which means it may rain tomorrow, or puedo acabarlo, meaning I can finish it. As you can see, it is expressed, it is used in order to express possibility and probability. Same way, deber de is also used with another verb in infinitive form for expressing probability or possibility, like the verb poder, and the conjugation of deber is yo debo, tú debes, él, ella, usted debe, nosotros, nosotras debemos, vosotros, vosotras debéis, ellos, ellas, ustedes deben. Now let's see some examples with deber de. For example, deben de ser las 10 ya, which means it must be 10 o'clock. Debe de estar enfermo porque no ha venido. He must be sick because he has not come. So these are some examples with deber de plus infinitive. Now another verbal periphrasis is with the verb soler plus infinitive. Now soler in present tense means to do something usually, and the conjugation of the verb soler is yo suelo, tú sueles, él, ella, usted suele, nosotros, nosotras solemos, vosotros, vosotras soléis, ellos, ellas, ustedes suelen. Now the examples are Yo suelo ir a la playa, which means I usually go to the beach. Ella suele venir aquí una vez a la semana, which means she usually comes by once a week. Nosotros solemos cenar tarde, which means we usually have dinner late. And the last example, ellos suelen levantarse temprano, which means they usually get up early. Another verb is empezar a or comenzar a with infinitive. So, empezar a or comenzar a means to start to or to begin something, and they usually can be used interchangeably, meaning you can use empezar a or comenzar a as they both means same thing. Now, the conjugation of empezar is yo empiezo, tú empiezas, él, ella, usted empieza, nosotros, nosotras empezamos, vosotros, vosotras empezáis, ellos, ellas, ustedes empiezan. And the conjugation of the verb comenzar is yo comienzo, tú comienzas, él, ella, usted comienza, nosotros, nosotras comenzamos, vosotros, vosotras comenzáis, ellos, ellas, ustedes comienzan. Now let's see some examples. Empieza a ser imposible conseguirlo, which means it is becoming impossible to get it. El negocio empieza a generar dinero, which means the business is beginning to generate money. So these were the examples with the verb empezar with the preposition a, empezar a plus infinitive. Now with the verb comenzar, India comienza a estudiar la producción de energía nuclear, which means India is beginning to study the production of nuclear energy. So these were the examples with empezar a and comenzar a with second verb in infinitive form. Estar a punto de plus infinitive. Estar a punto de means to be about to. For example, yo sé que estás a punto de salir, pero espérame, which means I know that you are about to leave, but wait for me. And another example, ella está a punto de llorar, meaning she is about to cry. Apart from these verbal periphrases, there are other verbal periphrases used with infinitive. So some of the most common verbal periphrases with infinitive are acabar de plus infinitive, which means to have just done something. Alcanzar a plus infinitive means to be able to do something. Cesar de plus infinitive means to cease to do something. Dejar de plus infinitive means to stop doing something. Estar por plus infinitive means to be on the verge of doing something. Poder plus infinitive meaning to be able to do something. Ponerse a plus infinitive, which means to start to do something. Quedado por plus infinitive means to remain to do something. Llegar a plus infinitive means to come to do something. Volver a plus infinitive, which means to return to do something or to do something again. Tardar en plus infinitive, which means to take a long time to do something. So these are some of the most common verbal periphrases used with infinitive. Now let's talk about the verbal periphrases used with gerund. Now you have already learned about the gerund form in previous module. Let's quickly revise it before learning the verbal periphrases with gerund form. Now the gerund or gerundio is an invariable form of the verb which always ends in ando for AR ending verbs and yendo for ER and IR ending verbs in Spanish. In English, it is translated as the ing form of the verb. For example, speaking, watching, doing, etc. Now, the gerund form never changes in gender or number, meaning it remains same even when the gender is masculine or even when it is feminine, and it also remains same when the number is singular or plural. So, for example, María está estudiando. María is feminine, then also it is está estudiando, and when we change the subject from feminine to masculine, that is Juan, then also it remains same, and it will be Juan está estudiando, meaning Juan is studying. And when a sentence is in plural, then also it remains same, only the verb changes, that is María y Juan están estudiando, which means María and Juan are studying. So estudiando, that is the gerund form of the verb estudiar, remains same for both masculine and feminine gender, and also for both singular and plural. Now how do we form the gerund form of the verbs? The gerund form of the verbs is made by adding ando to the stem of AR ending verbs and yendo to the stem of ER and IR ending verbs. For example, hablar, so the gerund form of hablar is hablando, meaning speaking. Trabajar, gerund form will be trabajando, meaning working. Comer is comiendo, meaning eating. Beber is bebiendo, meaning drinking. Escribir is escribiendo, escribiendo means writing, and vivir is viviendo, and viviendo means living. Now, when we are talking about gerund form, we also know that the present continuous is formed by combining the verb estar with the gerund form of the verbs. So, the conjugation of the verb estar in present tense is yo estoy, tú estás, él, ella, usted está, nosotros, nosotras estamos, vosotros, vosotras estáis, and ellos, ellas, ustedes están. So these will be used with the gerund form of another verb, be it, for example, estudiando, bebiendo, escribiendo. So when I say estoy estudiando, it means I am studying. Now the verbal periphrasis of gerund form is the union of an auxiliary verb and the gerund. You have already learned verbal periphrasis of gerund with the verb estar, which express an ongoing or a continuous action. For example, estoy leyendo un libro. Estoy leyendo un libro means I am reading a book. So this is an ongoing or a continuing action. That's why the verbal periphrasis of gerund is used with the verb estar. Estoy is the helping verb and tells us who the subject is, and in this case it is I, but it does not tell us about the action of the phrase. Meanwhile, leyendo, which comes from the verb leer, is the gerund form of the verb leer and is the helped verb and tells us about the action that is placed and which is reading. So estoy leyendo. Likewise, let's learn some more verbal periphrases of gerund with other verbs also. So we start with the verb ir. Ir plus gerund. Ir plus gerund. The conjugation of the verb ir is yo voy, tú vas, él, ella, usted va, nosotros, nosotras vamos, vosotros, vosotras vais, ellos, ellas, ustedes van. Ir plus gerund express that an action which is in progress is proceeding gradually or steadily. The meaning of ir followed by gerund can vary with the context. For example, el niño va creciendo. So, creciendo is the gerund form of the verb crecer, which means to grow. El niño va creciendo means the child is growing. Another example, este político va ganando influencia. Ganando comes from the verb ganar. So, este político va ganando influencia means this politician is steadily gaining influence. Ir plus gerund form also express mood. For example, ella va cantando por la calle, meaning she is singing as she goes along the street. So, as you can see, the verb ir is used with the gerund form of another verb, and depending on the context, its meaning varies. But normally, it tells us about the slow progress or about something which is proceeding gradually or steadily. Llevar plus gerund. Llevar plus gerund expresses the development of an action that starts in the past and continues in the present. So, in order to understand this, its use, let's quickly see the conjugation of the verb llevar first. Llevar is a regular verb, so the conjugation of the verb llevar in present tense will be yo llevo, tú llevas, él, ella, usted lleva, nosotros, nosotras llevamos, vosotros, vosotras lleváis, ellos, ellas, ustedes llevan. For example, llevo 3 años aprendiendo español, meaning I have been learning Spanish for 3 years. Or this can also be said as llevo aprendiendo español 3 años. So, the time can come in between the verb llevar and gerund form, or the time can also come at the end. Another example, ella lleva viviendo con su novio 3 meses, which means she has been living with her boyfriend for 3 months. So, llevar plus gerund form with a time expression or with time tells us about something which we have been doing, and it talks about an action that starts in the past but which continues in the present. So, more examples with llevar plus gerund are llevo 4 años viviendo aquí, meaning I have been living here for 4 years. And last example, llevo 1 hora corriendo, meaning I have been running for an hour. So, as you can see in these examples as well, the time can come between the verb llevar and gerund form, or it can also come at the end of the sentence. Now, in these types of constructions, the time element is essential because you are essentially indicating how much time you have or you are carrying, so to speak, performing a given action, and it is translated as I have been or we have been doing something. Seguir plus gerund or continuar plus gerund. So, seguir or continuar, both these verbs express the continuity of an action. It means to keep on or to continue. In their usage, the verbs seguir and continuar are almost same and they are interchangeable, meaning we can use seguir or continuar when we want to say to continue. So let's first see the conjugation of the verb seguir. See, the verb seguir in present tense is conjugated as yo sigo, tú sigues, él, ella, usted sigue, nosotros, nosotras seguimos, vosotros, vosotras seguís, ellos, ellas, ustedes siguen. Some examples: sigo comiendo, meaning I continue eating. Ella sigue llorando, meaning she continues crying. Sigo teniendo problemas con mi ordenador, which means I keep on having or I continue to have problems with my computer. So as you can see, seguir here is used with gerund form of various verbs. Same way, continuar, the conjugation of continuar in present tense is yo continúo, tú continúas, él, ella, usted continúa, nosotros, nosotras continuamos, vosotros, vosotras continuáis, ellos, ellas, ustedes continúan. So, examples: continúan haciendo las mismas preguntas, means they keep on asking the same questions. Or another example: Venezuela continúa comprando cemento cubano, which means Venezuela keeps on buying Cuban cement. Thus, seguir and continuar both means to keep on doing something or to continue to do something. Andar plus gerund. So, andar plus gerund. Andar as a verb means to walk, but when it is followed by a gerund, it means as to go around doing something. So here the normal meaning of andar, which is to walk, changes from to walk to go around doing something. And the conjugation of the verb andar in present tense is yo ando, tú andas, él, ella, usted anda, nosotros, nosotras andamos, vosotros, vosotras andáis, ellos, ellas, ustedes andan. Now, the examples with the verb andar are: Ana anda comiendo todo el día, which means Ana goes around eating all day. Ese chico anda quejándose de todo, meaning that guy goes around complaining about everything. So, the verb andar, as you can see, is used with the gerund form of other verbs. Thus, in this module, you have learned about verbal periphrasis with verbs in infinitive form and also gerund form. It is important that you consult the e-text also, because it has got exercises and also learn more section, which has got links of other websites or other websites which you can refer to for learning more about the topics covered in this module. Thank you.